Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to the episode of my F1 2019 career mode, episode number 85 today for the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in Season 4, the finale of this season. But of course, if you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out, because that was a very important episode, because that was actually the championship decider for myself versus Pierre Gasly. And so, spoiler alert, as you can clearly already see on screen right now, we did in the end clinch the Drivers' World Championship with a rather impressive drive, if I do say so myself, at Brazil by storming through and taking the lead from our teammate Lewis Hamilton and getting the fast lap of the Grand Prix whilst we did it. Very, very entertaining race. That was enjoyable one and a great way to get the championship. But we've got one final thing to do at Abu Dhabi. It's trying to get the constructors, because there's still 4 points in it between ourselves at Mercedes and Red Bull Racing, with Gasly and Butler, of course, myself and Hamilton here. But yeah, it's been a great season really, and it's going to be really nice just to round out this season hopefully by trying to get the constructors for Mercedes. It's been a bit of an odd one. It's been a very competitive season. You can see it on screen. We've only won 3 races this season, and that's got us the championship, whereas in previous seasons we've won 5 to 4 races to get the championship. But that's how competitive it's been. So many different winners. You know, you've got the likes of the Racing Point cars winning a few races, the McLarens. Early on I thought it was going to be, you know, all Hulkenberg and Sergio Perez maybe at McLaren. Then came along, you know, the likes of Red Bull came into the fray. Hamilton at one point looked pretty good until obviously reliability issues hit him. So it's been a really enjoyable season, and so hopefully we're going to round this out with a fun race at Abu Dhabi. The pressure's off me personally in terms of I don't necessarily need to get any position really. I just need to try and do the best job I can, and we'll see if I can get the constructors along with Hamilton. Obviously it's going to be a major downer if he again has some issues at Abu Dhabi, so here's hoping, knock on wood, he doesn't and we can try and get it. But there's only 4 points in it, so it's going to be very, very tight stuff. But let's go into qualifying then for the final time in this season and see how we do over one lap in this Silver Arrow.
Here we are at the beautiful Yas Island circuit, where qualifying is about to begin. So sit back, relax and enjoy the action. When it comes to getting lap time out of this circuit, it's traditionally been about maximising top speed. Do you simply remove as much downforce as possible, hang on in the corners and max out down the straights?
Top speed is a key factor for this circuit. Even if you can achieve the same lap time as someone running less wing than you, chances are you'll find overtaking difficult if you have too much drag.
Right, so we move into Q1 then as the sun comes down here around Yas Marina circuit here at the end of our flying lap at the moment. Butler in P1, so the Red Bulls are looking pretty good at the start, but of course we've seen, especially in the last few episodes, the evolution from Q1 to Q3 has been quite massive in terms of the AI lap time, so let's just see how it goes. But the 2 Red Bulls look pretty strong there, 1 and 2 in Q1, but of course we get through. All that matters is we get through into the next session. But now as the floodlights really start to come on and are noticeable here in Q2, it's time to do the business, trying to get into the top 10 shootout and really maybe try and see now what the proper kind of pace is like, perhaps from some of the other teams. You know, will there be any kind of spanners in the work with McLaren and Racing Point there as well? Let's see. But we're up into P3 at the end of it. Then it's P8, Hamilton P4, so he's showing us we've got a bit more pace to maybe fine. But Red Bull again 1, 2 and Q2, so that's a little bit worrying. They're looking very strong indeed over one lap here. Don't know if that'll translate to race pace, but as we start Q3 we go across the line to go provisional pole ahead of Devin Butler and Gasly. So as the temperature maybe drops a little bit here at Yas Marina, the car has come alive for me a little bit, and at the moment as we go through for our second flying lap, we're down to P2 though. Hulkenberg surprisingly comes into the fray for provisional pole, so like I said, there might be some surprises here. And so Hulkenberg, the man who started the season off looking pretty strong for the championship, is now ending off very strongly indeed with provisional pole. We're P2, we're still ahead of Butler and Gasly though, so that's fantastic for us. Not too sure where Hamilton is, but we come through getting 2 tenths there. That was in this sector 2 really at the very back end of the back straight, but across the line, and it is going to be, I think, pole position for the final race of the season there. So as of late we've turned into a pretty decent qualifier actually in this Mercedes car, I've got to say. So that's another pole position for us. Hulkenberg does get P2, so that's really surprising to see that Racing Point come out of nowhere to get the front row. Butler is in P3 and Gasly all the way down in P8, which is very surprising indeed. So it's interesting because Hamilton's also down there in P6. So I guess it's kind of 2 and 2. You've got two of us, myself and Butler, up there at the front row, the second row. And you've got Hamilton and Gasly at the kind of tail end of the top 10 shootout. So it looks pretty even in terms of the Mercedes v Red Bull fight. And like I said, don't, count your chickens too early in terms of Q1 pace, because it evolves so much. Clearly, obviously, Racing Point and Hulkenberg found a lot of pace as we went on through Saturday there. But great way for us to start the race. Of course, it doesn't really matter for me personally, like I said, but that's a great way for us to help the team out. Hopefully, way, here's hoping that Hamilton can try and jump a few positions and Gasly maybe gets caught up in traffic potentially, and then that'll be a pretty easy Constructors title for us potentially. But let's go to Sunday then. It's going to be a tough one for sure still, so it's not over yet. We've done half the job though, at least for us personally, for pole position. Brilliant way to end off this season. Let's go to the race.
It's twilight here in the United Arab Emirates, and twilight also on another Formula One season. It's been a captivating story throughout the year, but will we see one final dramatic twist before the end? The Marina circuit is made up of 3.4 miles of track, featuring 21 corners with 2 very long straights. DRS zones going into the heavy braking zones of both Turn 8 and Turn 11 offer plenty of potential for overtaking. The circuit comes with its fair share of tricky corners as well, in particular Turns 15, 16 and 17, which will certainly test a driver's braking management. And it's an absolute pleasure to be joined once again by Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about the engineer. What a season they've had. A well-deserved championship victory, and the pressure now surely off with the title already in the bag.
It really is well deserved. I wouldn't say it's been a faultless title challenge, but certainly one that has been consistent and well managed. Here's hoping they let off a bit of steam today and give us an exciting race.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. The engineer lines up on pole position with Nico Hülkenberg alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Perez, Hamilton, Max Verstappen and Gasly, Giovinazzi, Ricciardo, Norris and Sebastian Vettel, Russell, Stroll, Lucas Faber and Leclerc. Raikkonen, Kvyat, Devon Butler, they've taken a grid penalty, and Kevin Magnussen, Bottas, and Romain Grosjean sits at the back of the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Alright, so here we are then on the grid for the final time in Season 4, and as you saw there by the grid sequence, if you did watch it, Devon Butler has a massive penalty, so that's one less Red Bull to worry about. I think he's pretty much taken out of the race running in terms of some massive points. He might come back through for P10 or P9, but that helps us really quite a lot, because now Hamilton starts in P4, because quite a few other people had penalties, so we've got a mega chance now at securing this Constructors, so now we just go out there and enjoy this race. Hopefully it's going to be a 2-stop here, either way, either 2 sets of softs or 2 sets of mediums. I think personally mediums, because I think just like USA, I feel like the tyres are going to get cooked quite a fair bit on the internal carcass temperatures, but we'll play it by ear and kind of see how it goes during the race, and we'll see how the kind of first getaways in the first few laps are. But myself in P1, Hamilton P4, I think Gasly starting P6, so we've got a very good chance. We're going to go out there, try and execute the race strategy, and hopefully don't get held up too much there, but you've got the likes of Hülkenberg and Perez looking pretty quick in this last race as well, so let's just see. But hoping for just a fun race for myself, really, to end out Season 4, which has been a very fun season overall as well. And so with that, for the final time this season, then let's go to 5 red lights to the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Constructors fight between Mercedes and Red Bull is a go. His lights are out and we're on the way. It's a good start for us there. Can we cut across Hülkenberg and cover off the inside line? We can, but Hülkenberg goes round the outside there and does very well to jockey for position on the right hand side. He actually gets us, but we're going to get our foot in there and try and keep it side by side and try and do the best to try and battle for this P1, but so far the German has it. You've got Sergio Perez also having a look. We go defensive somewhat, but also have a look to the inside of Hülkenberg. Didn't quite work out though as we lock up on the front left. So Hülkenberg has got P1. So once again, just like was the case at the USA GP, pole position, maybe not so lucky for us, as the man in second place is now in the lead and looks to try and get away. But let's try and see what we do on the straight. But the racing point for now looks pretty quick there on lap number 1. But as we go on then through the next few laps of this first part of the Grand Prix, Hamilton is the one under pressure here behind us. This is for P3, 4 and 5, and Hamilton gets overtaken not only by Sergio Perez, but also Verstappen. Hamilton did actually get into P3 briefly there, but now has been overtaken by the McLaren and now gets done down the inside by the Dutchman, Max Verstappen. And now he's also even got Gasly nipping at his heels straight away there. You might just be able to squint your eyes and see that very zoomed out camera angle, but the Red Bull straight on the back of him. Of course, Gasly is the only Red Bull in the points right now, flying the flag for the Constructors' Championship fight, so it's crucial for him, I guess, to try and get past Hamilton. Hopefully Hamilton, though, can be a good teammate for us, for the team, and try and keep him at bay. But here we go now, on to lap number 4. So far, I've just been trying to keep Hulkenberg honest, and now we have a chance to overtake him with DRS there. We're going to go to the inside there. He's not going to give us too much room, but we dare blink down the inside, and Hulkenberg eventually leaves us some space. We're going to go head-to-head now, side by side, but Hulkenberg made some contact with him, some more contact made through the left-hander, and Hulkenberg really getting very aggressive there, get the elbows out in the middle of Sector 2, and he keeps P1. We get a slight warning from the FI about making contact with Hulkenberg there, so he's really not wanting to give up that P1 without a massive fight there, but that really doesn't help me out, because that's flustered me quite a fair bit, because the tyres in that battle got very cooked, and also my engineer has asked me at the wrong time about changing strategy. That's confused me to hell looking at the right-hand side, and so now Sergio Perez is sent one down the inside. I've lost the back end again for the second or third time now, and Verstappen now has got us, and look at that, the front left tyre, brick yellow on the heads-up display, so the tyres have really gone off on the front end there. I need to try and cool them down desperately, and so that means instead of gaining 1 place, I've lost 2. I'm down to P4. It's now Mercedes 4 and 5. Of course, that would still work out for us because we're both ahead of Gasly and Butler, but I've just lost out on, going for the lead, so now down to P4. So a massive, unfortunate incident there for us on lap number 4 in terms of losing all composure and sense of tyre wear and tyre temperatures. So we're going to have to try and bring those tyre temps down. I think they're still pretty cooked there as we go through the hairpin, so I need to try and cool them down and try and basically reaffirm our head a little bit and try and get back in the game to try and close up to Verstappen and Sergio Perez. But having said that, on the end of the next lap, then lap number 6, we're going to come in for our pit stop a little bit earlier than scheduled, but you can clearly see the car really needs a new set of tyres there as the back end goes walkabouts there as we enter the pit lane, doing a nice lovely drift, which obviously looked great, but was nearly probably race ending in terms of crashing into the right side of the wall. But we now go on to a set of medium tyres, and I can already, you can probably already guess, but we're going to go for 2 sets of mediums rather than 2 sets of softs. Those soft tyres, like USA, really did not gel, especially once they go off on the internal carcass temperature. They're so hard to get back into range, especially these ones on the front end compared to USA on the rear end, and so it's so hard to get the nose turned in there. So hopefully this undercut of about 1 or 2 laps here can help us get back into the fight, but we were still quite close to Verstappen and Sergio Perez, so hopefully we can get a decent undercut. So we now close up to Kevin Magnussen then, and we closed up on him at quite a rapid rate. He comes in then, so the rate at which I caught him actually got me quite happy that I think we could get a decent undercut going as we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix then on a set of medium tyres. Into turn 1 we go. There goes Perez, and there goes Nico Hulkenberg. So not only have we jumped Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, we've actually also jumped the race leader. That's how powerful this undercut has been of about 3 laps here. We've jumped all 3 cars ahead of us. Hulkenberg was a good, I think, 1 second ahead of Perez, and Perez was 2 seconds ahead of me, and obviously Verstappen between the two. So that's an insane undercut. I think the last time I got a massive one like that was, I think, Singapore last season with a Toro Rosso, I believe. I think it was, if I remember correctly, but that was quite some time ago. But yeah, mega strategy. So we're now up into P9 as we overtake Grosjean there, but that's pretty much saved that first part of the race. That kind of entire lap 4 where I had that issue where I battled with the Hulkenberg and got flustered, I basically made up for that entire mistake of a lap there with that strategy call. So here we go now, closing up to Valtteri Bottas. They're having to lift off as he goes very slow. The Toro Rosso not as quick as it used to be in Season 3 as we go round the outside now of Bottas, the man who obviously swapped positions with me from Toro Rosso to Mercedes for this year, and we're now up into P1 proper of the Grand Prix. But Hulkenberg is right on the back of us. It's lap number 12. He's on the soft tyre compound, so Racing Point believe that their car has the tyre wear to go for the more aggressive strategy. We try and go around the outside there, but he's put us wide, and we desperately try and fight him. But again, in the same part of the damn circuit, we make contact with the German. Again, it's a warning by the FIA, and he gets up into first place. Hulkenberg really very aggressive, overly aggressive a little bit in my opinion, in Sector 2 there, but he gets it done. He's got to be done. I have no way to defend against that because I just don't have enough speed and momentum through that right or left to be able to actually pull it through, and if I make contact, my car's going to go into a half spin. So he's played that really well, but it's frustrating as hell for me then to be down in P2, and now we've got Verstappen also in the mix potentially. He's in P3, he's also on a set of soft tyres, so all these guys looks like they think they have better tyre wear than me, and I think that's probably true. So we're a little bit of a sitting duck here in terms of the soft tyres. Should be faster, but obviously in a straight line we've still got good pace with this car, and eventually, hopefully, these tyres that Verstappen has on should wear out to the point where my tyres are faster. But here we go. We've tried to defend around the outside there. It didn't quite work out because I locked up at the front left and anyway went completely off there. But we have a second bite of the cherry with the DRS zone. Hamilton is in the background with Sergio Perez as well. But here we go. Down the inside of Verstappen. We get the job done. But Verstappen with a massive dive bomb to come back at us there. And so we go for this switchback from right to left. And we're still neck and neck now through the middle part of Sector 2. Absolutely amazing stuff there into Sector 3. We're going to get up into P2 and just keep that position. But fabulous fighting between myself and Verstappen, and this is the kind of fun I wanted from the last race of the season, although this is unfortunately probably going to lose us the race win because Hulkenberg is nowhere to be seen. But again, Verstappen comes knocking round the outside in the same part of the circuit into Sector 3, and we go through the right and the left then, and Verstappen is going to keep this round the outside. We're going to keep our foot in there on the left-hand side and try and keep this P2 desperately there, but Verstappen is so confident under braking here on the soft tyres, and we've just not got the grip in terms of the mediums versus the soft tyres, and so he's back at us there. And so through the entirety of half a lap on lap number 16 here, you're going to see we're going to be neck and neck, pretty much like literally level with each other through most of these corners as we go through the second last corner to the last corner, still side by side. This is probably one of the best battles we've had of the entirety of season 4 here, and we're going to squeeze them out and just keep the P2. But for how much longer? But look, in the background, look at that, Hamilton, Perez, you've got the other McLaren, and also the Red Bull of Gasly crucially as well coming into this fray. So this is becoming about a 5 or 6 car scrap here, and if Gasly gets in the middle of that, that might be a little bit of a worrying time for us. I'm not too sure where Butler is, but Gasly's coming back through, and Hamilton looks like he's getting swamped a little bit in that traffic. But obviously we're kind of not helping that issue by being a bit of a kind of a leader of a train here, trying to do the best job we can on a slower compounder tyre. And as I make that point, you saw on screen there, Verstappen's able to get past us and will actually stay ahead of us as we enter the pit lane and actually follow him in along with Sergio Perez then. So he comes in at the same time as me, because that kind of shows really how bad my tyre wear was on the mediums. The fact that he's gone maybe not as long, obviously he came in 3 laps later than I did, but pretty much it's a bit odd that he's coming at the same time as me now for this pit stop. But here we go then, a second set of medium tyres, and we've got Verstappen to chase after us. Behind, I believe Gasly there behind us may have just jumped on the cars. He's got the Ferrari and then the Red Bull, and then I think you've got the McLaren. So the McLaren got really punished there in the pit lane, so Gasly's gained a free position, so he's slowly but surely lurking around where Hamilton might be. As we come through then, we're ahead of the Williams car of Sebastian Vettel on P13, Grosjean ahead of us there between myself and Verstappen, and ahead of us is the Red Bull of Butler, which is the first time we've seen him really, and you can clearly see I think he's in the same race as Grosjean there, so he's very much out of contention. So it really is just us, myself and Hamilton versus Gasly. For now it's looking all good because I'm around obviously P2 or P3. Hamilton's still floating ahead of Gasly, I would hope, but he's yet to make the pit stop, so we'll see about that. We make a massive, disgusting dive on Grosjean then to get the job done to P12, but now we've got Butler to contend with here, and obviously that Red Bull's going to be pretty quick even though he's out of sync in the Grand Prix, and so for 2 laps there he holds us up with quite a fair bit, but then eventually we get into some clean air and we're able to try and set the fast lap of the Grand Prix as we go up into P4. Then Norris makes his pit stop, and Norris will come out just behind us ahead of everyone else. So Norris has made a great strategy work out there. He's jumped everyone because he really wasn't in the fight there. It was always Perez that was in the fight there, so he's jumped his teammate and also the likes of Gasly and Hamilton, and so now he is the one fighting me on lap 22. But Verstappen, unfortunately for me, has gone away, so it's going to be maybe a fight for P3 maximum for me in this Grand Prix as Norris comes knocking on the right hand side. We go very defensive on the left there, but very deep as well as we go to neutral gear, and so that was a little bit of a misdemeanor there in terms of pushing Norris wide. Didn't mean to intentionally push him that wide there, but he gets the second bite of the cherry with DRS anyway, so maybe a little bit calmer for him in that kind of sense as he goes down the inside. We break early because I'm going to just try and stick behind him and re-overtake him in Sector 1. I think we should have the pace right now on the fresh set of mediums to be able to match him even though he's on the soft tyres, and that is going to be a case in point on lap 24. 2 laps later we're going to stick with him within 1 second and we'll go for the move then. And also right on time, I haven't addressed it so far in the video, but yes, I have been getting screen freezes left, right and centre in this race, so that's also been hampering me a little bit. Even though the pace has been okay, these last few laps especially have been getting at least 2 massive ones every single lap, which is definitely hurting me sometimes when it happens mid-corner. But for now, we get the job done, maybe. No, not quite. We maybe try and overtake Norris there, but he actually gives us a really good fight there. I tried to pinch him into the apex of that chicane. He wasn't having any of it there, really got the nose in, and instead we have to get the job done run on the second straight there, but we're up into P3 finally and back ahead of Lando Norris. But our fellow Brit is really giving us a massive scrap here in the final race at Abu Dhabi on lap 25. Again, deja vu. He's on the right, I'm on the left. We bang up tyres there on the front right. We're going to try and go for the Rosberg kind of switchback move there, trying to straighten the car faster. Open DRS. He does not have DRS, of course, as the second detection point there is after the chicane, and so we go through. He pinches us a little bit there, but we get the job done once more to P2. But for how much longer? You know, we've got 3-4 laps left, and we just keep yo-yoing back and forth, P2, P3, and we've done that so much so that there goes Gasly. He's quite close behind us, and also we've got the likes of Perez, Ricciardo, and Hamilton. Alton, a big scrap, but Hamilton, I don't know what's gone wrong with him this race, but he's lost a massive amount of pace there, and he's behind all three of those cars, and Gasly is looking likely to be right on the back of Lando Norris, so we need to watch out, because if we're not careful, Gasly could come knocking here on the last lap of the Grand Prix. But on the second last lap, Norris is the one that's singular coming through, and he comes through yet again, basically, for the same exact place, you know, into the chicane on the back straight, and lo and behold, you can probably guess what's going to happen. We're going to open DRS once again on the back straight, and we're going to close up with overtake mode, also Rich Mix engage, and go on the right hand side and re-overtake him for P3 in this Grand Prix there. You can see on the minimap Verstappen way away from us in P2, and Hulkenberg dominating this Grand Prix for the race win, so fair play to him for this final race. But here we go now. We're on the last lap of the Grand Prix, and once again, deja vu will come through with Norris trying to go for the move here on this first straight before the chicane. But now, crucially, the difference is Gasly is very close as well with DRS there. He's gaining on us there as we're going to try and go for the move around the outside of Lando Norris. He goes very defensive, and look at Gasly go with a massive dive there, makes some contact. We're going to try and pinch Norris on the exit, and we crucially get ahead of him before the detection point, and so we do not have DRS. Norris does, and Gasly does, and Gasly has just gone for the double pass round the outside up into P4. Norris is, not even Norris, Perez is trying to overtake us here. It's all gone pear-shaped for us on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Gasly out of nowhere has come flying through. We've got a massive tank slapper there, and that pretty much just sells it. But look at this replay then. Gasly with an even more disgusting dive bomb than one I made on Grosjean, because he really didn't have any kind of space to work with. He just decided, oh, I'll make some contact with Aarava in the Mercedes car, try and put him off a little bit, and then he gets the DRS, of course, and crucially, because I overtook Norris right before the detection point, I had no DRS, and so Gasly will come through in P3, and because I'm in P4 and Hamilton's down in P8, I think it's going to mean we're going to come through with a screen freeze, ironically on the last lap of the Grand Prix, to unfortunately lose the Constructors' fight to Red Bull Racing on the last lap of the Grand Prix. It's not the way I wanted to end Season 4, but nevertheless, it was a fantastic race. But what a way for Red Bull to seal it, huh?
And an incredible win for Racing Point. A brilliant performance. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
The Racing Point team will be very happy with today's performance and the final result. Another display of excellent driving and excellent teamwork, and a well-deserved first-place finish.
So that is it. That is the end of an incredible Season 4 with a bonkers race. Some amazing fighting with Verstappen early, and then that final lap, so much chaos. 2 McLarens attacking me. You know, I overtook Norris, then I got attacked by Gasly, and also the other McLaren of Sergio Perez out of nowhere, which I got so confused by. I thought it was genuinely going to be Norris there on the right, and then I looked at the name tag on the top left to see it was Sergio Perez, and that entire chaos meant that Red Bull get the Constructors by 2 measly points. Now, I don't want to put blame on anyone, but obviously the team has to take some accountability for it, because without the DNFs and mechanical issues that Hamilton had the whole half season, this would not have happened. I think we would have got the Constructors very comfortably here. Red Bull lucked into that with the issues Hamilton's had all season, and also just generally not performing maybe as high as he could have in the first part of this season. But also at the same time, I did have it in my hands, and unfortunately it just went away. I just got swamped, and there was too many drivers to think about. I had Norris on the left, Perez on the right, Gasly was was already ahead of me, but oh well, wasn't meant to be. But what a fun final race this season, and definitely was a very fitting race for the season we had overall. Such a close season with everyone being so close on the R&D shot there. And so with that now, we'll look at to round out the episode. We've got some R&D points to potentially spend. The last ones we've earned here in this race to try and adapt some parts of the R&D shot for Mercedes, of course. But guys, if you did enjoy that episode and that entire season 4, then be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. And if you're already around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. And hang on, wait, what's this all about?
If you carried on as you were and you didn't start putting in the kind of performances the team expected, you were going to lose your drive. Well, it's happened. As of today, you are no longer an employee of this organisation. Lucky for you, one of us is competent. I found you an option elsewhere, and I suggest you take it if you want any hope of salvaging this so-called career of yours.
What? All of this because we did it with the constructors? I won the bloody championship a race early. You can't do it. You can't be doing this. You'll be hearing from our lawyers, mate. What the hell are you thinking?